Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel today. My name is Christian and today we're here to talk about the new record by Minus the Bear. It is titled VOIDS. It is the band's 6th studio record and the follow-up to 2012's Infinity Overhead. It's been a long time since Minus the Bear have released a record, so going into this record I didn't really know what to expect. And what I will say about this record is that it contains some really great songs. However, there are far too many that just kind of pass by and don't do anything to make themselves special. So let's get into it. Last Kiss opens up this record and it was the second single released in the lead up to the album's release. The first thing that I notice about this track is its feel. It really has a more chilled out vibe in the verses, really allowing that chorus to explode. And the drums are the real highlight to this track. They really have a nice groove to them and drive the song along really well. And I think the rest of the instrumentation on the track is fine. It doesn't really do much to stand out, but it does its job, just doesn't connect with me personally. Give and Take then comes in and it has a much different feel to what we heard on Last Kiss. It really feels a lot more energetic. I love it when a track feels like it's a band in a room just playing together, and that this track absolutely has that, and in fact it reminds me a lot of early Feeder in the chorus. I also love the chords that are used by the guitars in the verses to this track. They have a really great harmonic quality to them that I just really love. The vocals also have a great effect on them throughout this entire track, and the melody is really memorable. Call the Cops then goes back into that softer, laid-back vibe that we heard in the verses of Last Kiss, and unfortunately, this track is one of my least favorites on the record. And that really has a lot to do with the vocal melody throughout this track, especially in the verses, and the effects used in this track. However, I really like the chorus to this song. It really has a great melody and is really memorable, but it really highlights the weakness in the verses. It's also one of the more straightforward songs on this record, when really the more complex the band get, the better they sound. Invisible is next up on this record and was the first single released in the lead up to this album's release, and what a great choice for a first single. This song is great. The intro builds a lot of intrigue for what the rest of the track is going to bring, and it leads into the first verse perfectly. I love the use of the vocalist's lower range in this track. It really sounds great, especially with the higher octave being layered on top. The chorus absolutely slams as well, with a more broken feel to it, yet still sounding massive. This band are at their best when they're being more energetic and more up-tempo. They just seem a lot better at writing those types of songs. Not to say that I don't love softer tracks, I absolutely do, but this band just don't seem to execute those styles of songs as well. Having said that, What About the Boat is a part of the record where the band goes softer, and it works. It's a really well written track with some great guitar work going on, as well as some really perfect ambience to surround it. This is one of the vocalist's best vocal performances on this entire record, and every element of this track just works together well to make the song sound great. It does drag a little bit too long, but other than that, I really enjoy this song. Silver opens up with some really cool synths that is a bit of a different vibe to what we've heard on the rest of the record, and it leads into this really cool groove for the verse. And this is a much more electronically driven track, however, it doesn't really go anywhere. The vocals do very little to elevate that chorus and make it sound like something that's meant to be memorable, and that's just such a shame, especially considering I really like the verses. And the track also has a great bridge, which just sounds massive. This track just has a lot of potential, but unfortunately it's let down by a lackluster chorus. Tame Beasts is another one of my favorites on this record and brings back that band in a room feel that we heard on Give and Take. The guitars in the verses to this track are just so great and add something new to the band's sound. In fact, the guitars are the real highlight of this entire track. They're really allowed to open up and show off what they can do. I just really love the overall feel to this track. It introduces something new to the band's sound and is very unique within the context of this record. Unfortunately, the vocals are the real hindrance to this record. The vocalist has a really good voice, but he really stays within this very small vocal range and doesn't ever really want to go outside of it. He really sounds hesitant to take any kind of risk. The vocals are also really overproduced, which means that any aggressiveness or emotion that could have come through in the songs is kind of washed away. In fact, he kind of sounds bored throughout a lot of this record. Up next is Erase, which is another softer leaning track which doesn't quite hit the mark. Once again, this track is more electronically driven, and actually on this track the vocalist shows off a bit of a different side to his vocals. But the track kind of just feels stuck in first gear for its entire duration. It really doesn't evolve at all. It's also one of the most basic tracks instrumentally, just doesn't really do much to grab your attention. Robotic Heart then brings back in that band in a room feel that we've heard throughout this record in certain parts, and it's one of my favorites on the record, if not my favorite. And this time there's some really great synth going on to back up the guitars. Once again, all the elements of this track are just working together perfectly. This is also the best chorus on this record, with some awesome vocal harmonies going on all the way throughout the track, which really elevate those vocal lines. The song has you invested from start to finish and is going to be stuck in your head for days to come. Lighthouse closes out this record with a completely different vibe to what we've heard throughout this entire record. It's a really strange track which doesn't really feel like it fits within the context of this record. However, I really do enjoy the chorus to this track, but the verses just kind of bring the whole thing down. I appreciate the experimentation, but it just doesn't really work for me. Overall, this is an enjoyable record with some real highlights, but the overall record is kind of brought down by some mediocre songs and a really uneven tone. Fans of bands like Two Door Cinema Club or Last Dinosaurs or The Wombats are actually going to find some real enjoyment in this record. It's really aimed towards that market, and those fans I think will enjoy it. My top 3 tracks are going to be Invisible, Tame Beast, and Robotic Heart, and I'm going to give this record a 3 out of 5. Anyway, what did you guys think about the record? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Did you like the record? Did you not like the record? Let me know down below. We're here to have a conversation about music, so let's do that. But if you're just going to fill up the comment section with hate and insults, just know I'm going to read your comments and laugh at how pathetic your life is. Now, one more thing before I go. My band, Sevsons, released our debut record last week. It is titled Ad Infinitum. If you want to listen to something that, in my eyes, is completely unique and is something that incorporates a lot of different influences but turns them into something that you've never quite heard before, please go and check out that record. It's available on all the streaming services, and it's also available for purchase basically everywhere. And if you want a physical copy, please hit me up and I will send one out to you. Anyway, thanks for watching my video today, guys. Please hit subscribe down below, and I will see you next time. Fresh Currents.